Good morning, class. Miss Gonzalez here, and today what we're going to be going over in class is sign rules for addition and subtraction. So what we're going to basically be covering is what steps we need to take to feel comfortable and confident when adding or subtracting problems that have either both the same signs or different signs. Okay? So listed here, I do have a couple of vocabulary words. We are going to go over them in a class, but if you can go ahead and copy those in your math notebooks as we do go through them, I would appreciate that, okay? They'll definitely help you as we do go on with these problems a little bit later here in class, okay? Our first term is going to be same signs. These are going to be two numbers that are both positive or two numbers that are both negative. If you have 3 plus 3, those are going to be a same sign problem. They're both positive numbers. Our next term is going to be different signs. This is going to be two numbers where one is positive and one is negative. An example of this would be positive 3 and negative 4. We have one positive, one negative. This is going to be a different sign problem. The next one here is kind of no sign. So basically this is going to be a number that doesn't have a positive or a negative sign in front of it. An example would be just the number 3 and the number 4. This is generally going to be how we write these problems down in the class. That's why I did feel it was important that we did have this term here on the board. So something to remember when you do have no sign in front is going to be that it's always going to be a positive number. Okay. Next, we're going to go over the steps we need to take in order to feel comfortable solving these type of problems, okay? Our first step is going to be check to see if the signs are the same or are they different. Do we have a same sign problem or a different sign problem? Our next step is going to be if they are the same, add and keep the sign. 3, if they are different, subtract. You're always going to want to subtract your smaller number from your bigger number. So your bigger number is always going to want to be listed first. What we're going to do with this is keep the sign of the bigger numbers. Final step, just write the number with the correct sign in our answer space, okay? What we're going to go ahead and do is go over some example problems just so we can get a general idea of what it is that we're expecting to see when we do come across these type of problems, okay? First example that we're going to do is going to be negative 2 minus 6. All right, so what's our first step, right? It's going to be check to see if the signs are the same or different. In this problem, we can see two negative signs. This is going to be a same sign problem. Before, let's go ahead and write that down just so it's already in our brains and we have that there, okay? All right, and our next step. If they are the same, add and keep the sign. So what we're going to go ahead and do is add, right? Okay, so we're going to add 2 plus 6, and that's going to go ahead and give us 8, correct? All right, so our answer is 8. What are we missing here? That's right, we have to keep the sign, because it says here, add and keep the sign. It's going to be a negative number, so our answer is going to be negative 8. Let's go ahead and put a box around that. All right, so that's going to be negative 4 plus 9. And again, as we are going through this, let's go ahead and make sure we're writing these examples in our notebook, okay? All right, so we're going to have negative 4 plus 9, right? Okay. Step 1 again, let's go ahead and check to see if those signs are the same or are they different, okay? So we do have a negative sign, we do have a positive sign. These are going to be a different sign problem. All right, guys, so what do we need to do if it's a different sign? Let's go ahead and check our steps, right? If they are the same, add and keep the sign. Are they the same? No, they're different signs, right? So we're going to go ahead and go to the next step. If they are different, subtract. Big number minus a small number, and we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number, right? Is go ahead and put a box around that bigger number and its sign. In this case, our 9 is going to be bigger than our 4. We have a positive 9, so let's go ahead and put a box around that, just so we can remember it later on, right? And again, we're going to be subtracting our big number from our small number. In this case, again, 9 is going to be our big number, so we have 9 minus 4. So we have 9 minus 4. What is this going to give us? 5, correct? All right, so we have 5. Are we done there? All right, and we're done. Why? Because 9 is our bigger sign, and it needs to be positive, correct? Correct. So our answer is going to be 5, positive 5. If it helps you to write positive here, we can go ahead and do that as well, okay? Let's go over one more problem here. 7 minus 3, correct? Let me write this a little bigger for y'all. 7 minus 3. All right, okay, so what are we seeing here? You don't see a sign here, right? There's nothing in front of that 7, so what is that going to mean to us? That's right, it's a positive, okay? You want to write that in? Let's go ahead and do that. Positive 7 minus 3. So we're subtracting. Okay, what's our first step? We're going to check to see if it's positive or if it's negative, if it's going to be same sign or different sign. And what do we have here? We have a positive sign and we have a negative sign. So it's going to be different signs. All right, and what do we do when we come across different sign problems? According to our third step here, we're going to subtract the big number from the small number, correct? And we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. So now let's go ahead and box our bigger number. In this case, it's positive 7. We're going to go ahead and subtract big number from small number. This problem already kind of did that work for us. It's already set up the way we need to. So we have 7 minus 3. What is that going to give us? 4. 7 minus 3 is going to equal 4. Is there any additional work that we do need to do with this? No, right? Because we have that positive 7 right here. We have a positive 4. We don't need to do anything else. Again, our final step, let's go ahead and write that correct answer with the correct sign. Positive 4. All right, so now we've kind of seen what we need to do step by step in order to make sure that we do get that correct answer for us, okay? What we're going to go ahead and do is a couple of practice problems so we can get a little bit more comfortable doing these problems on our own. Before we do that, are there going to be any questions over the steps or over the vocabulary over any of the example problems that we just went over? No questions? All right. I see that y'all feel confident here. All right. So what we're going to go ahead and do, and work with the person sitting next to you. I'm going to go ahead and write 3 example problems on the board, or practice problems, okay? I would go ahead and like for you to work for about 15 minutes with the person next to you. While you are working, if you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hands. I will walk by and we'll go ahead and see where we need help and what we can do to make sure we get past that question there, okay? All right, so we're going to give you 3 problems. Our first one is going to be -7 plus 2. Our second problem, we're going to have -2 minus 3. be 3 minus 6. Alright, so again, I'm going to go ahead and give you 15 minutes. Okay, so now that 15 minutes have passed, we're going to go ahead and go over these problems here on the board, okay? Let's go over number 1. First thing we're going to do, same sign or different sign? We have a negative 7, a positive 2. Again, we'll go ahead and write it out. It's a different sign. And what do we do according to step 3 when we do come across different signs? That's right, we're going to do big number minus a small number and keep the sign of the bigger number. And what did we do to help us remember that? What did we do? That's right, put a box around our negative 7. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and subtract this now. So we have 7 minus 2. And what did we get there? 5, correct. Alright, so is our work done? No, right? We said we got a negative 5, and why did we get the negative 5? That's right, because our 7 is our bigger number, and it does have the sign of negative. So our answer is going to be negative 5. Alright. Number 2, what do we have here? Negative 2 minus negative 3, correct? Okay, so what do we have? We have 2 negatives. That's going to be the same sign, right? And what do we do when it's the same sign according to our step 2 here? That's right, we're going to add and we're going to keep the sign. So we have the same sign. They're both negative. We're going to add 2 plus 3 equals 5. And again, what do? We keep the sign. Gives us another negative 5. All right. 3 minus 6. Okay. What kind of problem do we have here? Different signs? That's correct. And why is that? Because there's no sign in front of that 3, correct? And what does that mean? It's always going to be positive. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. Positive 3 minus 6, correct? All right, so what does this make this? This makes this a different sign problem. Right, okay, and what do we do when it's a different sign? Subtract big number minus the small number and keep the sign of the bigger number, correct? So what's our bigger number here? That's right, it's our negative 6. And what are we going to do? We're just going to subtract that big from the small. So in this case, it's going to be 6 minus 3. And what do we get there? 3. All right, that's correct, okay? But what are we missing? That's right, the sign of our bigger number. Gives us a negative 3 for that final problem there. Did anyone get anything different on these problems when they first tried them out? No, everyone's feeling pretty confident. I mean, I feel y'all feel that way as I was walking around. I did see that y'all did feel fairly comfortable with the process. So I hope these steps and notes are really helping you with that, okay? All right, guys, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to hand out some worksheets, and these are going to be your homework assignment for tonight. It's 10 problems. All right, so again, in conclusion, what we did go ahead and go over today was going to be our sign rules for addition and subtraction. What to do when we come across addition and subtraction problems with either the same sign or different signs, or some cases, no sign. Before we do close out this session here, is there any questions that we do have regarding this? Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening with this assignment today and with this lesson.